Today is new gun day, it's a day to celebrate. Heading out to the range, no time to waste. Gun in my hand, feel the power. Freedom at my fingertips like the powder. Promises whispered, but can't be delivered. Not every gun will be the next grail in the collection. Flash and steel dreams or polymer fails. Some will fall to their knees while others prevail. Expectations set high based on price or the brand, but you never really know till that gun's in your hand. Will it be reliable and all on its face? Is it accurate? Can it keep up the pace? Is it everything you wished for, or are you a fool expecting too much for the price you pay for this tool? Lofty dreams, they rise and they fall. Promises made but turn out to be false. Are you asking too much or paying too little? Are you being realistic or being too fickle? Your search for perfection leads you in different directions, and sometimes you feel so damn lost. Flash and steel dreams or polymer fails. Some will fall to their knees while others prevail. Expectations set high based on price or the brand, but you never really know till that gun's in your hand. Will it be reliable or fall on its face? Is it accurate? Can it keep up the pace? Is it everything you wished for, or are you a fool expecting too much for the price you pay for this tool? Steel dreams or polymer fails. Some will fall to their knees while others prevail. Expectations set high based on price or the brand, but you never really know till that gun's in your hand. Will it be reliable or fall on its face? Some days are better than others, you know this is true, and a lot of praise should be given to the Fusion crew. The bullets go where you want them to go, and best of all, it's been reliable. What's up with that grip and that crazy slide stop?
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Jim, and today we're going to be talking about the brand new Fusion Firearms Ermox XP Pro. And the title might be a little bit misleading. I don't do clickbait titles or anything like that, but I do want to clarify what the title means where it says it's not a Turkish gun. It is and it is not. This gun, long before it came out, and it's still not technically out yet from what I understand, has gotten kind of a bad rap from people that just don't like guns that are made in Turkey. Okay, fine. This is not a Turkish gun, although the gun is made in Turkey. What they're doing is they are manufacturing all the components, they are assembling the gun in Turkey, and they're sending them to the US, sending them over to Fusion Firearms, where they are doing any of the hand fitting that needs to be done, any of the tuning that needs to be done, the trigger, the safeties, all that kind of good stuff. They're taking care of here in the US. Also, all of the final quality control is done in the US by Fusion Firearms as well. And that's why their name is so prominent on all of this. But as you see on the left side of the slide, the Ermox brand is there because this is their original production that they have teamed up with Fusion Firearms, and they're doing this cool little setup here. Now, there are about 15 or so videos about this gun on YouTube as of this recording today, which is the 14th of January. Only maybe 2 are done by good quality channels. Most are throwing out a lot of hype phrases and lots of bullshit. In some cases, most just showcasing their ignorance about guns in general. One example is how they're talking about the black variation of this gun and its tenifer finish. No, it's not a finish, and we'll dig into that whole tenifer thing later in this video because it's irksome that people rely on info shared on videos like ours to be fed completely erroneous information given to them as some sort of gospel. And some are just intolerably amateurish, and you need a secret slang decoder ring just to sit through the whole video. Now, if I sound like a dick, I apologize. I'm not saying that I'm any better than anybody else putting out content on this or any other handguns. The frustration that you hear in my voice doesn't come from that. It stems from being a gun lover, a gun nut, somebody that has been truly excited about this gun's release since my delivery was delayed from mid-December to now mid-January. It was supposed to be here a month ago, and not sure what happened, but it didn't quite make it here at that time. And I have been eagerly anticipating this because I have owned my platypus for well over a year now. I was lucky enough to get in early on the platypus before it completely exploded and turned into a 6-month wait. And I was just anxious to see it showcased anywhere by anyone. And the consumer part of me was very much let down when I watched all of those videos. Again, a couple were really, really good, and I appreciated them. So anyway, let's move on. There will be a rant at the end of this video, so I'm not going to continue on with that and take up your time. You can stay to the end if you want to hear what the actual rant is. Now, Fusion Firearms isn't a household name these days, unfortunately. Many newer or younger shooters may likely have never heard of them. But old asses like me, I'm 50, I'm Gen X, we know them very well. Even if you haven't owned one, you've seen the name, you've seen their guns, you've seen them in catalogs and in magazines and things like that. And later in this video, we'll be discussing a conversation that I had with Tyler Serva prior to receiving the gun to give you some good, accurate info on the development of the XP Pro and what lies very soon ahead. Give you a hint, it has something to do with this. Anyway. In the pursuit of high-end but still not full custom-priced 1911s, Fusion was at one time a more well-known commodity like Dan Wesson, which that's kind of coincidental. We'll talk about that in a second. You could choose from super premium fancy factory 1911s and high-grade but moderately priced customs. When we were searching for 10mm and 38 super pistols, Fusion was one of the only brands offering you a good selection at prices that were, again, they were premium priced, but they weren't custom level priced. So a lot of people could afford them. Ooh, you want a hand-fitted 1911 with a match-grade barrel? Well, either build one for yourself or go buy a Wilson Combat or Les Baer or buy a Fusion. This is a family business, and half the people you'll see named in their emails have the last name Serva, and that's really, really nice to see. So you're supporting, if you're getting into this brand, you're supporting a family-owned business and that you can make a connection with the people that are involved, and I really, really appreciate that. Bob Serva, prior to founding Fusion, owned the Dan Wesson brand as well, and this I just found out, he also owned Wildy. Dude, Wildy. I still want one of those so bad. I will have one before I die. It probably won't run right, but who cares? It's a friggin' Wildy, and that is simply one of the coolest guns ever made. And if you're my age, You grew up looking at that gun going, oh my God, that is the coolest thing ever. I want one of those. And that is definitely from a time gone by. It's kind of like Rambo knives. You know, it's the kind of thing that we grew up on and went, oh my God, I have to have something like that. And now, not quite as much of a want or desire, but I've really gotten into nostalgia lately. And that's also what influenced my choice on the finish on this. So yeah, man, to have a Wildy, how cool would that be? Anyway, so now Fusion is making a resurgence of sorts, having never actually gone away, but merely haven't been in the spotlight. But now that 1911s / 2011s are in vogue again, and their willingness to step up to the 1911 wide body double stack genre, they're making themselves known again. And they're doing it in what is really a pretty good carry-sized handgun. And in a sea of 2011 inspired clones and wide body 1911s that are either super crazy, ridiculously expensive, near custom, but still factory guns like Atlas or Watchtower or any of the other, you name, whichever brand pops up into your head, or insanely priced full customs that are over $7,000, or you fall to the other end of the spectrum with thrown together mass-produced garbage like the TSAS and the up-level Mac 9. I'm actually interested in the Mac 9 myself just for a fun gun, and I don't think that it's as junky as its TSAS little brother. And we won't even speak of the horrors that Springfield has produced with their hit or miss Prodigy. Even saying the name kind of makes me feel like gagging a little bit. But for less than the gag-worthy Prodigy, and almost exactly the same price as the Mac 9 and the seemingly excellent Live-Free Armory Apollo 11, you have a fully machined, no mem part, hand-assembled, semi-custom production wide-body 1911 from a family-owned company in the United States. Every component is milled from bar stock, and for those newer to the 2011 game, a major upgrade which separates the tiers of quality in 2011s is going to be what this grip module is made of. Now, I can call this a 2011 because I'm not selling anything, manufacturing anything, or trying to pass this off of as anything that it's not in order for you to spend money. Ermox and Fusion cannot call this a 2011 because that is a trademark name owned by Staccato. So, what is that? Let's talk about the differences just super quickly. I know this is remedial for most people, but we're going to make it quick.
So, a wide-body 1911 is something like this, like the platypus. This is a one-piece aluminum frame. The grip is the exact same portion as the frame, and sitting on top of that is the slide, which has the barrel and all that kind of good junk. So, it's essentially two main body components. When you get into what is known as a 2011, which I have two of on the table here, you have this grip portion, which is most of the time going to be polymer. And then you have the frame, which is where the rails are. And so that's one piece, two piece, and then the third piece of the main construction is going to be your slide, barrel assembly, and all that. So this is constructed like a 2011. That's why I'm going to use that term more often than not.
In these different tiers, you have different materials for the grip modules. Grip modules in the lesser expensive, in the duty arena, things like that, are going to be polymer. And there's nothing wrong with that. They're lightweight, they're super tough. Polymer has obviously proven itself over the decades thanks to Glock and all the companies that followed in Glock's footsteps. HK, who really was the first to come out with a polymer frame. So we already know polymer is great, and you can texture it really nicely and get a nice good grip on it. Nothing wrong with that. But if you prefer that more solid feel, you're going to want an aluminum grip frame assembly or a grip module. Here's where this gun is entirely different from everything in anywhere near its price range. Aluminum grip module, stainless steel frame, stainless steel slide, as opposed to like this, my Bull Armory SAS2 EDC Pro. This is polymer grip module, aluminum frame, steel slide. So this is very lightweight. This is heavy. This is all aluminum with a steel upper. This is kind of a middleweight. And then I've got this little guy here, which is my Dan Wesson DWX Compact. And this is a one-piece aluminum lower, and then the steel slide. This is also kind of a middleweight. One of the things that I was most interested about this gun is the fact that it was marketed as a 4-inch 2011 style gun. Oh, hell yeah. Because go out there and look. Go out there and look. The platypus, the staccato, all of this, oh my God, the staccato piece. 4 1/4-inch barrels, the commander size. So I'm thinking, oh, that's great. This is going to be a 1/4 inch smaller, making it much more compact and easier for carry. Yeah, unfortunately, that ain't really the case. And that's one of the things where the numbers kind of lie to you. It is a 4-inch barrel. But the way the whole thing is set up, it's every bit as big as a 4 1/4-inch gun. So I gained nothing. I benefited nothing by going from a 4 1/4-inch gun to a 4-inch gun. As a matter of fact, it is identical in size to the SAS2 EDC. There is almost no dimensional differences. And in my photography, you can see that. But as far as the tier level this is sitting in, you cannot find an aluminum grip module 2011 style gun, for as far as I know, for anywhere under $3,000. That is a significant upgrade. This is $11.99 in the hard chrome. It's a little bit less in the black nitride. You kind of can't beat that. Now here's the bummer. This is a bummer. Check this out. Let me move this out of the way. We're going to break out the handy dandy scale. EDC Pro, 4 1/4-inch. Fully loaded magazine, which is 18 rounds, plus the one that's going to go in the chamber. Let's just lay that there. That's 2 pounds, 7 ounces, right? 2 pounds, 7 ounces. Polymer magazine with 17 rounds, 2 pounds, 14.8 ounces. My God, that is heavy if you want it to be a carry gun. Now, it's going to be of major benefit when you're shooting it because it's going to have very little bit of buck and bronco going on. But it's not going to be the pleasure to carry that my DWX is, that my platypus, the platypus being larger. And it's still considerably lighter. Here, let's show that. Because that also uses the same exact Glock 17 mag. 2 pounds, 6 ounces. So yeah, that part was a big letdown. When I was putting the Optic on, I was like, man, I can't believe how heavy this pistol is. So now let's get to the specs, the raw numbers. You're looking at a 2011 style component assembled 1911. Caliber, of course, is 9 millimeters. Barrel is a 4-inch Clark Para style ramped barrel. Slide is a 7.5-inch tri-top slide with lightning cuts. It's an Optic ready slide, and I'm so excited. I'll talk about that in a minute. We're just talking specs, but we'll talk about the Optic mounting in just a minute. You have a full-length one-piece guide rod. Some people are going to love that. Some people are going to hate it. Weight when empty is 35.5 ounces. Now, the grip module, I know people are out there saying it's Tenifer. No, it's not. It's 70-75 aluminum that has been hard anodized. That's all it is. It's just anodized. And you've got an enormous mag well. 2 Optic plates included. Are you paying attention, Staccato? Included. And the mag button is polymer. Why is it polymer? Because your magazines are polymer. And what you don't want is a metal magazine catch snagging on this soft polymer, because it's just going to tear it up in very short order. Then your magazines are going to malfunction. They're not going to seat properly. They thought of everything. They did a really, 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 really good job. Now, outside of the specs, let's just purely review the gun. It has been carry contoured. All the controls are melted. So everything is nicely rounded off. I even like the way they contoured the rear sight that sits on this Optic plate. It follows the shape of the rear of the slide, and by not just standing straight up, it allows it to be easier to conceal. Well, now I have an obnoxiously enormous red dot on there, so that really doesn't matter. This is the 507 competition, 507 comp Ronin edition from Holosun. It doesn't really matter that it's a Ronin, but somebody's going to see the Dragon and go, what's that? It's the Ronin edition, and you're not really getting much by getting it. Tri-top slide is not just a standard tri-top. I don't have any tri-tops here, do I? Well, yeah, I do. My platypus is a true tri-top. So you've got an angle here, and a flat top. Instead of, this is the way 1911s used to always be, rounded. So, why is this different? Because ahead of the ejection port, they have milled it further and taken more material off. It's only been triangulated in that area there. So it's not being done, it doesn't seem to be for aesthetics. It's being done to reduce weight in the slide, which is why these big cutouts are here on the sides toward the muzzle. You do have a target crown barrel. Everything is nice and flush up front here with the recoil plug. Overall, they did a great job. And like I said before, there were 2 different finish choices. You could get the black or you could get the hard chrome. Now, I haven't heard hard chrome in probably 20 years. So when I saw that, I'm like, I'll be honest with you guys, I think the black looks better. The way they did this gun with all of these, the designs, with the serrations, it looks really good in black. It looks like this futuristic, super spacey gun. But I've already got a couple like that. I have a Daniel Defense H9. I have an Archon Type B Gen 2. I've got my kind of outer spacey guns. So having a classic hard chrome blew my mind that that was going to be an option. Now, the magwell is another miss, in my opinion. It's so large. Now, if this was on a 5-inch gun or a 4 1/4-inch gun, I get that. Because it's something that somebody's either just going to have for a range toy or for home defense or maybe for competition. And I know when we talk about competition in our videos, a lot of people only think of somebody shooting IPSC, USPSA, something like that. There are usually local matches going on. Maybe it's through your local gun range or gun club that you could be participating in on a much smaller level. And you don't have to worry about moving up into certain levels and becoming B class, A class, master, grandmaster, and having to travel to matches and all this stuff to maintain your status and shoot so many rounds. And you don't have to worry about that. But for those that are into doing any kind of competition shooting, this is a magwell funnel. It is fantastic. And they did a really good job with not having a lip anywhere. When you're sliding in, you're not hitting the frame. It's just jumping right in. I like this a lot. They did a good job, but it's too big for concealed carry. You know, when I first ordered my platypus, I ordered it without the magwell because I figured I'm already going to be carrying a large enough gun. That's going to be too hard to conceal. And then I saw their magwell and went, it's pretty slim in the back, which is where I would have to worry about it poking out on concealment. And it's not super chunky and wide hanging off the grip frame. So I went ahead and ordered one and installed it after the fact. This one, it flares out like crazy and it comes out a lot in the back. I haven't tried to carry it yet, so I don't know, but I'm pretty sure between the fact that it gets really thin right here, and that's going to feel like a really harsh edge up against my belly, and then I think it's going to end up printing too much. I'm probably going to take it off, and they are nice enough to supply you with a shorter mainspring housing pin so that you can take this off and then put the shorter pin back in and it fits flush. So there's that. Not as smooth as I was expecting. Now, I want you to realize this. I have not tempered my expectations here. Why? Because there are some really good guns out there now in this $1,000 to $1,500 price range in 2011 style pistols. If this were 2021, I'd be doing somersaults about this, even if the friggin' front sight fell off when I took it out of the box. Because at just a hair under $1,200, guys, I have a knife here I'm getting ready to review for my main channel that's worth 3 times what they charge for this gun. This is not expensive. That's where most people are going to go, yeah, so I wouldn't expect it to be super gliding smooth like the platypus. Yeah, but it's because of the platypus and so many other guns that are out there now that I was kind of hoping. And this one kind of hangs up on the disconnector a little bit. I've handled the Apollo 11. I was that close to getting one, and I'm going to at some point. I know that I will. And I just didn't. And it was really, really, really smooth and felt really, really good. This feels fantastic. Yes, this is over $2,000, but I just had that expectation for this. Now, there's a chance after a few hundred rounds, it will feel like that. So I'm not judging it on that yet, but you have the right to know what to expect when this comes out of the box. As far as doing the optics, it was super simple. They give you 2 plates in the box. What I had assumed, and I don't remember anybody correcting that assumption in any of their videos, what I had assumed was one plate was RMR and that the other plate would have been for smaller, like RMSC or EPS carry, things like that. So I'm sitting here kind of bummed going, okay, well, I have a 507 comp laying around, and I also have another Vortex Defender XL. Vortex Defender XL has to sit on a Delta Pro Point footprint. So I was like, okay, well, I'm perfectly happy with the Holosun. I'll just use that. But in my head, I kind of still wanted the option to be able to use the Vortex. I open the box, I take out the two optic plates. One says it's for the RMR and SRO, and they also engraved onto it a whole bunch of other different optics that will fit. Then I look at the other plate. No lie, it says Delta Pro Point. I couldn't believe it. So both of the optics plates that come with this are for full size and XL sized optics. Now, I'm sorry, there are a lot of great brands out there offering a lot of great guns and a lot of great value that still insist that you have to pay them for the right to put an optic on their optics ready handgun. Staccato again, calling you out. That's a bunch of crap. And you have other brands that when you buy the gun, you go online and you fill out a thing and they will send you a free optic plate, which is a pain because you can't turn right around that same day and go break in your gun with an optic on it because you have no way to mount it. You also have to firmly decide at that moment when you're on their website what exact optic you're going to run on there. You may not want to make that decision right now and be locked into it for what may be forever. And then even more frustrating, and some of those brands have had this, where they offer that for free, but when you bought your gun and you went to go order that optics plate, they were out of stock. Yep, that sure as hell has happened. And that sucks. Right now, my Daniel Defense H9, I don't really care about putting an optic on it, but I'm gonna. But it's one of those brands where you got to send away to get the optics plate. I'm going on 3 weeks waiting for them to ship it. Why? That's awful. So kudos to them for getting that right. Now, I decided to go clownishly big with my optic choice. And I have some smaller optics lying around that I could have put on here, but I just had it in my head that I'm going to want to shoot this a lot. I'm going to want to shoot it fast. So I'm going to want a big competition optic on it. It's dumb for a carry-sized gun. As soon as I took it out of the box and took the sight plate cover off of there, I went, this is just too heavy. I'm probably not going to carry it that often anyway. So let's be stupid and put one of the largest red dots on the market on this 4-inch 2011. So yeah, I think it works. And it goes along with the color scheme where you've got predominantly black, then you've got the hard chrome, and then it's now topped off in black. I think it looks handsome. Now let's talk about the finishes while we're there. You've got, again, two choices, the black or the hard chrome. Now, don't think of hard chrome as your grandpa's bumper on his friggin' Buick. It's not the cheap electroplated chrome that can flake off or chip off or bubble rust underneath. This is a very, very strong finish that bonds to the steel and aluminum or whatever else. I don't know that you can hard chrome aluminum. I'll take that back. But it bonds to the steel and it makes it very, very scratch resistant. Makes it highly corrosion resistant, although that's not the main benefit of it. It's really the scratch resistance and the higher Vickers count. So it's going to dent. It's going to take a little bit more to dent it, a little bit more to scratch it. It's not impervious. Yes, you could still scratch it. Yes, it could still get some love marks, but it's going to look new for longer, and that's a nice thing. Now again, the black being the other color, I'm going to advise you to go to the end of the video. You can either skip there now or just let this play out. And that's why you had that sticker shock when you first clicked on this video and it said however many minutes this video is going to be. And you're like, oh my God, who's going to talk about one gun for that long? Because the last few minutes is separate and it's going to be a rant. This is a desktop video. My desktop videos are tabletop reviews, and in some cases, they're going to be first impressions, and that's what this is here. It literally came out of the box here today. It was shipped to me directly from Fusion Firearms, and I appreciate them doing that because I don't have a million subs. I don't have the clout to be able to just call up companies and go, hey, I want a T&E sample, yo. I was given an offer, I took the offer, and I'm very happy that I did. So this is my gun, and they have not paid me a damn penny. And whether they did or didn't, I always have the option to be honest with people. And I'll say this, I'm lukewarm as of right now on the gun. I'm excited because it's new gun day. Why wouldn't anybody be excited, right? But it's so much heavier than I thought it was. And it's so much larger than I thought it was. That it's not going to be the gun I intended it to be. I intended it to be a daily carry gun. And it's just not going to be. It'll be an occasional carry gun because I do carry big, heavy guns on occasion. But my DWX is going to be in my appendix holster 10 times more often than this. That's just the way it is. That is smaller, it's more compact, slightly lighter weight, and almost the same capacity. It's down 2 rounds. Because they don't have the weight that this does. This is going to be different. So I don't really have like a full column of pros and cons. There's a lot of pros and a lot of cons to it, sure. One of the things is the grip. Here, take a look at the platypus for a second. If I really work to wrap in a single hand grip, you can see where my thumb goes over my middle finger there, and I've got a little bit of room here. Now, that's not my master grip. This, I still have plenty of contact patch here. However, if I'm really trying to show you the circumference of this grip, this is much, much wider. It's not fatter, it's wider, because what they wanted to do is not give you a not give you a Glock grip angle. They wanted it to be a lot closer to a 1911 grip angle. It's not exactly, but it's really close. But they did it in a weird way. Listen, the platypus already did that. It's got Glock magazine capability, but a 1911 grip angle. And it's fantastic. And it's not overly bulky. I have XL gloved hands. But a medium gloved person could easily shoot this gun and enjoy it. This is a bear because of this up here, where they went so much wider, and I don't really see why. It's kind of weird. It's interesting because you have this geometry going on. You have one angle here, you have a completely different, I think it's 17 and 22 degrees if I'm not mistaken. I'll correct that on the screen because I did make a note of it, and I'm just not the kind of person that's smart enough to bring notes out when they do a video. I apologize. I think it was like 17 and 22 degrees or something funky like that. And it's weird. Now, going back to the grip, let's talk about this, because I'm super bummed. This is merely decorative checkering. There is no grip, no bite. There is nothing to it. Is slick and smooth, has no tooth to it whatsoever, none. And then you get into the golf ball dimple sides, there's no grip to that either. Now, when I'm really in it, is it gonna, no. See, that's the other thing. You look at these aluminum grips that I have on my DWX, and they look like they're gonna be smooth, but these, the chain link areas here, are raised, thin teeth. That when I grip into it, they dig into my skin, and they will actually cut you if your grip isn't strong enough. So the grip is super slippery here. So I think this is going to be interesting when I go to shoot this tomorrow. So as I mentioned, this is the desk pop. The shots fired video is going to be the shooting and give you an idea of how this is actually going to perform. And I think it's going to be reliable. I think it's going to shoot well. And I think because of how friggin' piggy overweight it is, it's going to be a dream to shoot on the range. I think it's going to be great. Let's take a look at the trigger here. So I played with it a little bit in the shop where I had it shipped to my FFL, and I was not impressed. There's no way it changed. Hold on a second. Let me back this up. You gotta be kidding me. There was a good 2 millimeters of mush. When you hit right there, you hit that wall, you would push another 1 to 2 millimeters before it would drop the hammer. And now, just from the little bit of dry firing I've done, fidgeting with this since I got home, that's gone. I would have expected it to work its way out after a couple of 100 rounds. That was fast. Now, I'll say this. You're getting a truly tested gun. That's why I expect this to be reliable. This gun was filthy. I mean, filthy. Inside, oh my God. Under the optics plate, when I took off the optics cover, oh my God, it was disgusting. But I am perfectly happy with that. I wish every gun I ever bought was that disgusting. I'm happy to wipe it off real quick, because then I know they have put it through some sort of paces to make sure it's going to function properly. That's good quality control. And honestly, that's what you're paying for. Yes, this is super inexpensive for a 2011 style gun, but it's still over $1,000. That's not a small amount of money. So if you're going to pay that kind of money, you expect that. And that I've got to give props directly to Fusion Firearms, because that's pretty awesome. Now, I had the opportunity to, for lack of a better term, interview Tyler Serva before this arrived, because I had a few questions for him. First off, I had never heard of Ermox before. I had a suspicion that it was a Turkish brand, because whenever you hear kind of like an off-brand with a weird name that you're not really sure how you're supposed to pronounce, it ends up being from Turkey. And he confirmed, yes, they are from Turkey. And I said, well, what's their reputation for quality and consistency? And he said it's actually extremely good, and they're getting better and better because of the quality control checks that they do at Fusion Firearms. They're giving feedback constantly to Ermox on every batch of guns that comes in. They decided to develop this gun together as a partnership. And I asked what the division of labor was between the brands and, how much of the work is done by Ermox, how much is done by Fusion. And he said very clearly, design and quality control done by Fusion. Ermox manufactures the components and assembles. So what they're doing, and why this isn't a true Turkish gun, is all the components are machined in Turkey. They put the gun together, send it over to the US, send it to the Serva family. They're function testing everything. Anything that's maybe oversized that has to be precision fit, like say the barrel or the slide to the frame, which not super tight, not insultingly loose, but there is a little bit of play. Those kind of things are done in the US by gunsmiths in the Fusion Firearms family. Fitting the safeties, fitting the trigger, tuning the trigger, all of these things done in the US. Making sure everything is going to be up to snuff, done in the US. By the way, I love that meat tenderizer kind of look that's going on there, the face of the flat face trigger. I dig that. Very cool lines, and that's matched up here in the front of the trigger guard. Very slick looking. And I said, who brought the project to whom for consideration? And he says, we just kind of found each other due to the development of 1911s. They just kind of wandered together, and it just kind of, I guess, was serendipitous. I don't know. And I said, would this be considered strictly a production gun? Or because it's going into y'all's hands, is it a semi-custom? And he says it's a production gun, and for any custom options or SKUs, Fusion will handle those directly, and those upgrades and customizations will be done at Fusion Firearms headquarters. Now check this out. I asked about the warranty, because again, this was the beginning of December when I was talking to him about all this. And it was supposed to arrive mid-December, right before Christmas. And I said, okay, since I don't have a warranty manual in front of me to read as of yet, is the warranty work performed by Fusion in the US, or is it ultimately going to be shipped back to Ermox in Turkey? And he says, nope, first off, it's a lifetime warranty. That's insanity. Lifetime warranty. And he says, any issues are brought back to Fusion headquarters in Venice, Florida, repaired and warranty done at Fusion headquarters in Venice, Florida. Period. No ifs, ands, or buts. And that is direct from Tyler Serva. So I believe, quality-wise, I don't have anything to worry about. And if something were to happen, look at this. If you go back to the earlier videos from the real influencers, the ones that have tons and tons of subs and get product super early, they had these as early as October, I think. And they had noticed erratic ejection patterns that began to worry them, because that was a sign that something could go wrong in the near future. Bob Serva saw that, recognized it, and immediately took care of it. No guns after that, after those first couple of videos, have ever shown, and you can watch it on video for yourself, have shown any erratic ejection. They're the ones that are on top of that. That's pretty cool. I said, is the XF Pro coming soon? And I think Tyler may have misread that and reference the XP Pro because that's what we were talking about primarily. So he was basically just reiterating that these were going to be available mid-January. I want to try the XF Pro because it's a very ergonomic striker-fired aluminum frame pistol. It's about the size of a Glock 19. Looks really interesting, looks really cool, and it's not crazy expensive. So I think I'm probably going to end up investing in one of those as well. We'll see. Now, as far as the desk pop on this gun, we're going to wrap it up here with just some quick trigger comparisons, and then we'll get to the rant for the end of the video. And then stay tuned because uploading soon will be the shots fired video, which will be all about shooting this gun and see if it lives up to the expectations that I have. So again, now that this is breaking in, I mean, that's the thing. It's not broken in. It's just a little bit of dry fire, and the trigger got a little bit crisper. Now it's a little heavy. If I had to guess, because I don't have a trigger pull gauge, I would say somewhere between 4 and 5 pounds. Not fair to put it up against the Platypus, but people are going to want to because, well, these are the two 2011, 1911 designs that take Glock mags. This is one of the best triggers I've ever had, and I've had multi-$1,000 handmade custom 1911s, and this thing is just, oh God. Now, when I ordered it, because remember, you can order every little tiny little thing about this. I ordered the trigger to be 3 to 3.5 pounds, and that's barely 3 pounds. But it is perfectly crisp. No over travel whatsoever. Reset. Short. Oh. This trigger excites me in ways that an inanimate object should not. Dan Wesson, DWX. Again, something near and dear to the service. The Dan Wesson brand, not the DWX. Not too bad. I think it's pretty much on par with this. Now, remember, this is $2,100, $2,200. This is $1,000 less, and the trigger is comparable. The trigger weight is about the same. This is a little bit smooth, not smoother, but a little bit crisper. Just by a C hair. I mean, just almost imperceptible. And then my number 2 favorite 1911 trigger that I've got is on my Bull Armory SAS2 EDC Pro with the porting. This trigger is just crazy. Oh. This is just a little heavier than that, so I'd say it's probably 3.5 pounds. But you've got a little bit of up and down and side to side play in there, which doesn't affect the quality of the trigger pull or the accuracy, but it just kind of makes you feel, oh, I spent over $2,000. I shouldn't have that wiggle. This, very, very little wiggle. There is a little bit, but you almost don't feel it. How's my baby? Oh yeah, that's still rock solid. You can't even move that one. I don't recall trying that. There's a little bit of up and down, almost no side to side. But that's very, very little movement on this. So funny enough, the most expensive gun on this table has the most amount of play. Go figure. So overall, right now, my impressions prior to shooting are Fusion Firearms did a damn good job. I feel that it's a bit mismarketed. This is not an EDC gun. And it may have a 4-inch barrel, but it sure as hell doesn't feel like a 4-inch gun. Now, let's get to my Tennifer rant. Are you ready? Here we go. Why am I ranting? Because the most recently uploaded video on the XP Pro that I saw, and that was just about 48 hours ago, didn't just say the black is Tennifer finished, which they did say that. They acted like an authority on the topic and like they were going to educate you. Unfortunately, they don't even know what Tennifer is, which is kind of mind-blowing because Glock has been using Tennifer since 1982. Tennifer is not a finish. It's not the black that you're seeing. Tennifer is a steel treatment similar to case hardening that adds additional hardness and corrosion resistance. Its technical name is ferritic nitrocarburizing. And that's not too dissimilar from any of you that might be watch geeks like I am. I'm wearing a Zin U1. This steel is made from German U-boat, German submarine hull steel. Then what they do for the bezel is a process called tegamenting that raises the Vickers count astronomically, 5 times harder than the steel itself was. It is very, very, very difficult to scratch, and it's never going to rust or corrode. And that's similar to what Tennifer is doing for these guns. Once it's been treated with the Tennifer finish, not Tennifer finish, I'm sorry, now I'm saying it, with the Tennifer process, it is then coated after that, typically with a black nitride, but apparently some eco freaks had a meltdown over the environmental impact of certain kinds of nitriding. So a lot of brands have moved to black oxide coatings, which I think this might be on the Bull Armory. I don't think that they even tell you what their exact coating is. And some still maintain the proper black nitride. So again, the Tennifer is not a black coating. The preparation of the steel, the treatment of the steel to make it more resistant to scratches, adding hardness, is what Tennifer is. You can't see the Tennifer. It's covered up. And man, it could be purple friggin' Krylon spray paint. It doesn't make it purple Tennifer, just because what your eye is seeing is purple. Okay. Again, I'm not trying to be a dick. Mistakes are easily made by all of us, particularly me. I've been doing this a long time on my main channel that deals with knives. Goes back to 2011, 2012. I've certainly made lots of mistakes. But it's not a simple mistake when you're acting like you're correcting the world and then giving wholly erroneous information. And as a consumer, myself, who relies on information gathered from multiple sources, YouTube reviews always being one of those sources, it really sucks to have the wrong information thrown at you. That's the only reason this bothers me. That's the only reason I'm going on a rant about it. I am not better than any other reviewer, any other channel out here. Not saying that at all. And I'm going to make mistakes too. It's going to happen, and that's just the way it is. Try to prevent that by doing research. And if I make mistakes, I'll come back and apologize for them. But, man, if you're going to go out there and you're going to talk about something that you're not 100% sure on, just kind of gloss over it a little bit. Don't focus on it, and don't act like it's a sermon. Because if you yourself don't have the right information, you shouldn't be out there pontificating about it. It just seems kind of ridiculous. Anyway, rant over, review over. I'll see you guys on the next video, which is going to be the shots fired video, where I start breaking this in, get the 507 comp zeroed, and start having some fun with it. I'll see you guys on that video.